Good morning. Today we'll be studying the 11th chapter of Hilchot Shabbat, and this chapter will deal with the melachot from shechita to sirtut, and we have 8 melachot that Be'ezrat Hashem will deal with, uh, and we'll do them right now. Halacha Aleph. Hashochet hayav. And this is actually a very interesting mahloket in the Gemara, Shabbat, Ayin He Amud Aleph. The mahloket between Rav and Shemuel as to why one would be hayav. Rav says one would be hayav mishum tzoveya beta shechita, that one would be, in a sense, dyeing or coloring the place where the slaughtering happens. And Shemuel, and Harambam seems to side with Shemuel, that Shemuel says mishum netilat neshama, that one is taking the life of a living creature. So Ashrahet hayav, someone who slaughters or performs shechita on an animal would be liable. And not just someone who does shechita, rather, ella kol hanotel neshama le'echad mikol minei haya uvhema va'of v'dag l'sheretz ben b'shechita ben b'nechira ben b'hakaya hayav. Rather, not just someone who takes the life. No, rather, anyone who takes the life of any living creature, be it wild animal, domesticated animal, chicken, fish, or reptile, and if one either does it by shechita, which is ritual slaughter, as Be'ezrat Hashem will see in those halachot, or nehira. Nehira was when they would check the knife on an animal, and the animal died as a result of the blood loss. Ben behakaya, or if someone struck the animal, he would be liable. If someone strangles a live creature um, until it dies, harezeh toledet shochet. It is a derivative of shochet. Lefikach, therefore, im he'ela dag misefet shelemayim b'niho ad shemet hayav mishum chonek. Therefore, if someone drew up a fish from a bucket with water and left it there until it died, one would be liable because of chonek. And not just only until he dies. Ela kevan sheyavash bo kasela ben senapirav hayav. If it dried up so much so that between its scales there is a gap, the size of a sela. Sela was a type of coin they would use back in the day, which is about 22 millimeters. One would be liable. That as a result of your actions, and you kind of strangulated it in a way, to a degree, the animal would not have the ability to live. The fish should not have the ability to live because of the gap and because of the strangulation that you caused. If one sent his hand to the innards of an animal and detaches a fetus from within it, one would be liable. Bet. Remasim, shehen parim verabim mizachar v'nekeva. Insects that are produced from male and female. Or different fleas that are formed from the soil. Back in the day, they would believe in spontaneous generation, that which is basically the idea, and that animals are formed from the fleas, and different insects are formed from either the soil, or, as we'll see in the next halacha, from sweat. However, in the mid-1800s, Pasteur actually demonstrated that this theory is incorrect, that all insects are formed either from a male or female, or from an egg. And this is actually a very interesting mahloket after Pasteur, after spontaneous generation was proven wrong, what to do halakha lema'aseh from the next couple of halachot that we'll see, that assumes that spontaneous generation is in fact true. So remasim shen parim verabim mizachar benehegava, insects that are produced from male and female, or nehevin min ha'afar kimo paroshin, or that are formed from the soil like fleas. Haoreg otan hayav kehoreg behema v'haya. One, it would be liable for killing them, just as he is liable for killing a domesticated or wild animal. Aval remasim she'avayatan min hagelalim umin haperot she'vishu v'chayotze bahen. However, insects that are formed from excrement or from rotten fruits or anything of this sort, for example, worms that are formed in meat, or worms that are formed in in legumes, one who kills them would be exempt. And Rav Rabinovich actually mentions in his Perush and says that the second category, the one about Remasim Shava, Yatem Min Hagelalim, etc., all of those type, one would be Patur because they're so small, and it's as if they don't exist. And he actually brings a Gemara in Masechet Baba Batra that says that anything that is small that the eye cannot see, one would not be liable if he would kill them. Baba Batra Kuf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph. And the exact lashon is En lo ledayen ella ma she'einav ro'ot. Okay. Gimal. המפלק אליו בשבת, מולל את הכינים וזורקן. Anyone who delouses his clothes, back in the day they would check their clothes if they had lice, and they would shake their clothes to try and get the lice out. מולל את הכינים וזורקן. One may crush the lice and throw them away. And this is where there's that mahloket that I mentioned today, because we're posek like Bet Hillel, that one would be allowed to kill lice on Shabbat, because back in the day they would again believe that these lice came out from perspiration. It's a mahloket today whether it is mutar or asur. And again, we're posek like Bet Hillel, that one would be allowed to kill lice on Shabbat as they originate from sweat. And again, I'm not going to make it pesach halacha. Rather, anyone listening should be aware of this machloket today. Halacha daled. Hayav haremes shehen noshchim umemitin vadai. Any animal or reptile that, if they bite, their bite is fatal. For example, the fly that is in Egypt, or a hornet that is in Nineveh, or the scorpion that is in Hadyav, and the snake that is in Israel, and a dog with rabies in every place. One is permitted to kill them on Shabbat when they come into sight. So too, in regards to any harmful creature. If they were chasing after a person, one would be allowed to kill them. However, if they were sitting in place or they were running away from the individual, one is prohibited from killing them. And if someone was just walking innocently and accidentally steps on an animal, one and kills that animal, it is permitted. One who skins an animal enough to make an amulet. Back in the day, they would make, they would have some type of leather on amulets. So one who skins an animal would need, only once he makes the amount to make an amulet would be hayab. So to one who tans skin enough to make the size of kamea would be hayab. And again, it seems that all the melachot are to try and distance people from their typical daily work that they would do during the week. So it seems that they would skin and they would tan. And in regards to all the other melachot, that typically one who would be working during the week would make would skin the animal in order to make a kamea or something of the sort. And the smallest size that someone would actually tan or skin an animal would be in order to make a kamea. And the same applies for tanning, and the same applies to salting the skin after it is already removed, because salting the skin actually is a type of ibud. It's a type of working the skin. And there is no such thing as working the skin when it comes to foods. So to one who serrates, or rather scrapes the skin in order to make the size of a kamea would be liable. And what constitutes scraping? One muhik is constituted, is rather, muhik means that one who removes hair or cotton from the skin after the death of an animal in order for the skin to be made smooth. As we mentioned in Hilchot Sefer Torah, Tefillin Mezuzah, Duxustus is the side of the skin that has the hair on it. So one who splits Duxustus from Kilaf, okay, and extracts the Duxustus from it, it is a toleda of mafshit, skinning, and one would be liable for it. הדורס מן האור ברגלו עד שיתקשה, או המרככו בידו ומשכו ומשווה אותו כדרך שהרצענים עושים, הרי זה תולד מעבד וחייב. One who tramples on leather by his feet until it gets hardened, or someone who pats it and hits it with his hand in order to make it soft, and who pulls it back and forth in order, just like the people who would make sandals from strands of leather would do. It is a toleda of ma'abed, and one would be liable. Hamoret notza min ha'evra, harez toleda muhik v'hayav. One who plucks the feathers from a wing, it is a toleda of muhik, and one would be liable. So to one who rubs medicine, any amount would be liable. Rather, it's not. Rather, one who. So too, one who rubs wax or tar and anything of this type, that if you rub it, the surface becomes smooth, one would be liable because of muhik. So to one who smooths out with his hand skin, that hide that is stretched between pillars, rather, one would be liable because of muhik. One who cuts off from the skin in order to make the size of a kamea would be liable. One would be when we say cut off, one must have the intent to be very careful and intentional with the size that he is cutting, and he must be careful and intentional to cut off the size that would make him liable, which is the size of a kamea again. However, if one cuts leather or destructively, or without any intent for its size, rather one does so absent-mindedly or playfully, one would be exempt. One who cuts off the corner of a garment, it is a toledah mehatech, and one would be liable. So to one who scrapes off beams of cedar trees would be liable because of mehatech. So to anyone who cuts wood, just like a carpenter would, or one who cuts a metal just like a welder would be liable because of mehatech. And again, just like I mentioned, a lot of the melachot have to do with profession, things that people would do during the week. Just like we see in this halacha. Hanotel kesam she'le'etz milefanav uktamo lahatzot bo shinav o liftach et haderech hayav. One who removes or plucks wood, a small piece of wood from a tree, and cuts it in order to pick his teeth or to try and open a door would be liable. Just a quick, interesting question, halacha ma'aseh for mehatech, is in regards to toilet paper. If one would be liable for would be if it is mutar to cut toilet paper. There are many chachamim that are mitir. For example, Chacham Shalom Mesas and Chacham Matlub Abadi, I believe. However, there are other chachamim that prohibit it. Halacha het. Kol davar shehu ra'ui lema'achal behema. Anything that is proper for an animal to eat. Egon teven, for example, straw, v'asavim, or grass. Asavim nahim, rather wet grass. Vehutzin v'chayotze behen, or palm leaves, or anything of this sort. Mutar liktomotan b'Shabbat. It is permitted to pluck them on Shabbat, to cut them on Shabbat. As they cannot be made into utensil or garment. It is permitted to cut good smelling plants in order to smell from them, even though they are hard or dry. And one can cut from them as much as he wants. Then it doesn't matter the size. If he removed or cut from a small or large tree, it is permitted. Now, in regards to the melacha of ketiva, something extremely interesting that one of my teachers, Chacham Yosef Faur, has taught me, both personally and through his writings, is that writing in the Jewish mind means something a little bit different than writing in the non-Jewish mind, and we'll see that how that's demonstrated in the next few halachot. In Chachamim, we'll see distinguished between writing, which is koteb, and marking, which is roshem. And the difference would be that writing generates meaning, and roshem would be, for example, a hieroglyphic marking, which stands for a thing, or a picture, an image, or an action, and not a word. However, writing, and Chachamim recognize this, stands for a word, and the components of writing are letters. Therefore, in regards to Shabbat, as we'll see, Chachamim said, we'll see that this in a few minutes, that writing must contain two letters, and only when a person writes two letters would he be hayav on Shabbat, because each letter alone has no meaning, and the purpose of writing is to generate meaning. And therefore, one would be hayav on Shabbat when he writes 2 letters, because again, the purpose of writing is to generate meaning, and in order to generate meaning in Hebrew, you need 2 letters. And Rabbi Faur expands on this idea a great deal in a number of his writings. If anyone wants to get the source, they can reach out to me, and I will share it with pleasure. Okay. Halachat tet, as I mentioned, one is liable only for the reason that I mentioned, to write 2 letters on Shabbat. One who writes 2 letters on Shabbat is liable. So too, anyone who erases for the purposes of writing, on the place that he erased, there must be the space of 2 letters, would be liable again for the reason that I mentioned. One who writes a letter so large that it has the space to contain 2 letters would be exempt. If one erased a large letter, and in that space one can write 2 letters, one would be liable. If one wrote 1 letter and completed a scroll, one would be liable. If one writes in order to destroy the skin or parchment that he is writing on, one would be liable. That the one's being liable is not on the place that he wrote, rather it is on the writing itself. Therefore, if one wrote on a piece of parchment in order to destroy it, one would be liable because he is actually doing the action of writing. However, if one is erasing in order to simply destroy and be destructive, he would be exempt, because again, one is only liable when he erases with the intent to write. If ink fell on a scroll and erased everything on the scroll, so too if wax fell on a notepad or a parchment pad, something of the sort, and erased it. If in the place that it erased there is enough space to write 2 letters, one would be liable. If one writes the same letter twice, so that the result forms 1 word. Kigon rar, for example, drool, or tet, which is give, or gag, which means roof. Hayav, one would be liable. So too, anyone who writes in any language or any form of writing would be liable. This is straight from the Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat, Perik Yod Bet Halacha Gimal. Va'afilu Mishne Simaniyot. Even if he writes 2 symbols. Hold on. Here. If one adds a letter to something already written, or writing above already existing writing. If one intended to write a het but actually wrote 2 zayin, and anything of this sort in regards to any of the other letters. If someone writes a letter on the land and writes another letter on the ceiling, because these 2 letters are not read with each other. And so to anyone who writes 2 letters on two different pieces of parchment that are not read with each other, in all of these cases, one would be exempt. Ketavan bishne kotle zavit or bishne dape pinkas v'hene egin ze'im zeh patur. If one writes two letters on two different walls that meet at a corner, or two pieces of scroll that are read with each other, one would be liable. Halacha Yod Aleph. Lakach gevil lechayotzebo. If someone took parchment or anything of the sort, vekatav alav ot ahad b'mdina zo, ve'alach be'ot hayom vechatav ot sheniya b'mdina acheret, b'mgila acheret hayav. If one took parchment or anything of the sort and wrote one letter in one city and went to on the same day, on Shabbat obviously, and wrote a second letter in a second city on a second piece of parchment, one would be liable. As someone who goes around would typically have these two scrolls with them, and you would have them, and you would have them with each other, and they would typically be read with each other. And there is nothing, no action that you need to bring these two pieces of parchment together. As someone who would be going from city to city, writing different announcements possibly, or whatever it may be, there's no action that is required of him to bring these two pieces of parchment together. Rather, he would be holding them in his hand, assumingly, as that's the way they would typically. Someone who would go, someone of this type, that would be again go sent to make announcements or to write from city to city, would typically have the parchment together. Hakoteb ot achat. One who writes one letter, even if he can read a full letter and a full consonant, would be exempt. And this is following the opinion of Chachamim. And again, it's because of the reason that I mentioned earlier. Ketzad, how so? Mem. For example, if one wrote a mem, if you have the letter mem and people read it as ma'aser, or if he put the letter in place of a numerical value, as it is as if he wrote 40 when he wrote, for example, mem has a numerical value of 40, and it's as if he wrote 40, one would be exempt. If one fixed one letter and caused it to become two, for example, if one divided, for example, the top of a het and made it two zayin, one would be liable. So to anything of this sort. If one wrote, assuming someone is a righty, and wrote with his left hand, or held or if he wrote using the back of his hand, beraglo befiv o bemarkipeko patur. If again one writes with the pen held in his left hand, on the back of his hand, or in his foot, or with his mouth, or with his elbow, he would be exempt, because this isn't the typical way a scribe would write. And again, as we mentioned, melachot were typically for professions, were to distance people from their professions. Ve'im katav bismolo hayav. If iter shekatav bimino shehi lo kismol kol adam patur. If a left-handed person wrote with his right hand, which is for him the equivalent of other people's left hand, he would be exempt. Ve'im katav bismolo hayav. And if he, however, wrote with his left hand, he would be liable. Ve'asholet b'shtei yadav b'shaveh. Someone who is ambidextrous, or can use both hands equally as well. V'chatav ben b'mino ben bismolo hayav. And wrote either with his right or left hand, he would be liable. Katan ohez b'kulmus v'gadol ohez b'yado v'chatav hayav. If a minor holds onto the pen and a person over 13 holds his hand and writes, he would be liable. גדול אוחז בקולמוס, קטן אוחז בידו וכתב, פטור. If an older person above 13 would hold the pen and a minor holds his hand and they write, the older person would be exempt. Halacha Yod Zayin. אין הכותב חייב עד שיכתוב בדבר הרושם ועומד. One would only be liable until he uses a substance that is permanent. כגון דיו שחור וסקרה וקומוס וקנטוס וכיוצא בהן. For example, a type of ink that was black, made out of soot, or a type of red dye, or gum, or a certain salt, or anything of this sort. יכתוב על דבר שמתקיים הכתב עליו, and one must, in order to be liable, must write on something that the ink would stay permanently. כגון אור, קלף, ונייר ועץ וכיוצא בהן. For example, leather, parchment, papyrus, or wood, or anything of this sort. אבל הכותב בדבר שאין רישומו עומד, however, if someone writes with an ink that is not permanent, כגון משכין ומפירות, for example, a type of liquid, or a juice coming out of, or fruit juice, או שכתב בדיו וכיוצא בו על עלי ירקות ועל כל דבר שאין עומד, פטור. Or if one used ink but wrote it on a leaf of a vegetable or anything that if ink is written on it, it will not stay permanently, one would be exempt. אינו חייב עד שיכתוב בדבר העומד על דבר העומד. One is only liable until once he writes with something permanent on a surface that would contain the writing permanently. וכן אין המוחק חייב עד שימחק כתב העומד מעל דבר העומד. So in regards to erasing, one would only be liable once he erases something that would typically be permanent to stay for a very long period of time, or from a surface that would contain the ink for a long period of time. תדבב. הכותב על בשרו חייב, מפני שהוא אור. One who writes on his own body would be liable as he is writing on skin or leather. אף על פי שחמימות בשרו מעוורת הכתב לאחר זמן, הרי זה דומה לכתב שנמחק. Despite the fact that one's body's warmth would cause the writing to disappear after a while, its disappearance is analogous to the to erasing something that is permanent. אבל המסרט על בשרו צורת כתב, פטור. However, if one makes scratches on his body in the shape of letters, one would be exempt. הקורא על האור כתבנית כתב, חייב משום כותב. If someone makes incisions in his skin in the shape of letters, he would be liable because of writing. הרושם על האור כתבנית כתב, פטור. If someone just outlines the shape of script on his skin, he would not be liable. As mentioned before, there's a difference between roshem, which is just simply to mark or outline, and kotev. If one goes over script with a type of red dye on top of black ink, one would be liable. One because of writing and one because of erasing. However, if one goes over black ink with black ink, or red ink with red ink, or black ink with red ink, he would be exempt. The only time one would be hayab would be if he has red dye over black ink. Roshem toledet kotevhu. Marking is a derivative of kotev. Ketzad, how so? Haroshem reshamim betzurot bakohal ova shashar v'chayose behen kederech she'atzayarin roshmin harei ze hayav mishum kotev. If one marks or sketches or diagrams on a wall with a blue type of color or a red type of color, the way that artisans would mark or draw. One would be liable because of كتاب. וכן המוחקת הרשום לתקן, הרי זה תולדת מוחק וחייב. If one erases a drawing constructively, one would be liable as it is a toleda of muhik. Final halacha, halacha yudhet, המסרטט כדי לכתוב שתי אותיות תחת אותו שרטוט חייב. One who, back in the day, again we mentioned before, both in Perek Shishi and in Hilchot Sefer Torah, that they would scratch the parchment. They would make straight lines on the parchment, basically for the sofer to know where to write. And it was in order to make the lines straight. If anyone goes and looks at a Sefer Torah, you'll see the lines that I'm referring to. So anyone who makes lines enough to make two letters under those lines, one would be liable. חרשי העצים שמעבירים חוט של סירקה על גבי הקורה כדי שינסור בשווה. One who, a carpenter rather, who draws a red line on a wooden beam in order to guide them when they saw, in order for them to do it evenly. It is a derivative of sirtut, of making, scratching the lines, as we mentioned before. So to stone cutters that cut the stones evenly would be liable. So to anyone who uses color in order to make the split, in order to rather do the sirtut, or without color, as we have in the Sefer Torah, one would be liable for both.